Hi, welcome back to Her Story Hour. It is now our third episode number 3. I'm so excited, I'm happy, I'm starting to get into this now. And do you know what? Today I'm feeling so good. I think it's because I'm still on a high from the new year because when I'm recording this, we're only 5 days in so far. I haven't started any of my. Haven't started? Who am I? Where am I from? I actually haven't started really any of my New Year's goals yet. I'm not rushing. I'm just going to take my time, get into it slowly. But yeah, I'm feeling good, feeling positive, excited for the new year. I hope you're all still feeling the same and doing great as well. But yeah, I'm just feeling so like everything's good right now. I know what I need to do in my life, and I don't have any negative or bad energies around me for the most part. In saying that, today, what I want to talk about is relationships, and today I'm going to be talking about romantic relationships and the things I've learned from those relationships because I've made some mistakes along the way. I've done things that probably haven't been the best for me. But you know what I think in terms of relationships here? Have no regrets, because just think about this here. If you were with someone and you had to make a decision like, oh, should I end it with them or should I act like this? Should I act like this? What path should I take in this relationship, or what should I do? If you took the path where you didn't pursue things, or you still had doubts in your mind that things are like not over, whatever it is, if you took that path, you'd always constantly wonder what would happen if you didn't take the path. So for me, I feel like you just have to sort of feel out a situation and live through it to sort of learn and realise, okay, this is for me, this isn't working, or this is what's working. You know what I mean? You have to live through it to get the experience from it. Anyway, I think I'm just rambling on and making it boring. It's not supposed to be boring. It's supposed to be fun and interesting because I've done some weird stuff in my life for the sake of relationships. And honestly, if I can just cut out for anyone one relationship, or I don't know, make things a bit easier for you just from you hearing my stories and things you don't need to put up with and things that are red flags and things you shouldn't do for people, then yeah, I've done my job just by helping one person. Because honestly, if I would have just been able to listen to a podcast like this and save myself all the time, that would have been great for me. So my first relationship was when I was like 16 years old, and well, 15/16. I was like leaving school, and at this point in my life, I actually had quite low confidence. I never had anyone interested in dating me when I was at school. I had like silly little relationships with this guy that I was like best friends with while I was at school, but I would never call that like a proper relationship, or like those relationships where you were like, you would text on MSN. Text? You even call it that? You would message on MSN at the end of the day after school, and you just talk every day. I had like a couple people like this. We'd talk every day, and then when we go to school, we just wouldn't even talk or acknowledge each other. Like, it's so embarrassing. But when you look back, like, to you, that's a relationship, but that's not a relationship to me. And also, I used to meet this boy secretly on the way to the bus in the morning for school and just kiss him behind the sheds. But again, would never talk while we were at school. It'd just be on MSN and when we were kissing. But yeah, my first actual relationship was, like I said, at the end of school, because no one was really interested in me and I didn't know how to approach guys. I had very low confidence. Yeah, so this guy, I think I met him, I'm trying to remember back now. I think I met him from BBM, which is BlackBerry Messenger. For those of you that don't know, come on, if you're watching this, surely you're around my age, you must know. BlackBerry had like a messaging service on their phone, and you could message on there because you had to have a pin. That's how you add people on the chat. People would send pin trains, so you could add random people and stuff like that. I don't actually know how I got this guy, but somehow I had him on my thing, and other people seem to know him as well. Like, we sort of maybe had mutual friends. I'm not really sure. And I can't even tell you now, which is crazy because I was obsessed with him at one point. Can't even tell you the first time I met him, things like that. I just have a general overview of the relationship, and it was that first of all we met a couple of times as friends, and it was all good. And then there was another time shortly after he introduced me to his best friend, which was a guy also. At this time, me and him were still just friends, and it came from me and him hanging out to me hanging out with him and his friend all the time, and then gradually other people would come here and there, but it was just mainly him and his best friend. It was fine at first, but then there was this day when his friend just really started like bullying me, and I just let him. Like, I had this low self-esteem again where I didn't know how to stick up for myself. I'd never dealt with anyone being so rude and horrible to me. Like, this guy, when I tell you, from that day, which is very much at the beginning of when I first knew them, from that day where he started bullying me, he didn't stop. Every time it was something else. So they would do things like put me down about the way I look. They push me into bushes, push me on the floor, take my stuff. Yeah, just loads of horrible things, and I just put up with it because I didn't know what to do at the time. And I just let them basically take advantage of me. But anyway, long story short is when I was with the guy that I was dating, when we did start eventually dating, when it was just me and him on our own, things were so good. And like over text, things were so good. But when he was in front of his friends, he was an idiot. He wasn't necessarily bullying me. He might say little things here and there about the way I look or things I've done or whatever. But it was mainly his friend, and he would sort of egg his friend on to do things. So obviously, he is just as much as bad as that. And then also, like, he'd sometimes say to them, like, we're not dating. It was sort of like an on and off thing, from what I remember. And then he would, like, date other girls, talk to other girls in front of my face, but we were still just friends at points. But then he'd be like, oh, but I really like you. Like, he basically just played around and messed with me the whole time. I feel like most people now are aware that, like, that's not how someone should treat you. Like, it's either you're in a relationship and they're going to treat you good, or you're not. If someone's bullying you, because I'm assuming that people are my age and they've been through similar stuff at this point, but if someone's bullying you, if they're putting you down, saying nasty things to you, physically hurting you, anything, just cut and remove yourself from that situation, because that is not healthy. And I do not know why I put up, well, I do know, I had such a low self-esteem and self-worth that I put up with it at that time. And I was just thinking, like, any sort of positive interaction, which is what we'd have when we was alone or over text, any positive interaction I could get from someone, I was willing to accept the negative for. It was like a trade-off for me. But now I would never accept that. So yeah, that went on for so long. Well, it actually wasn't even so long. It was like a year and a half, something like that. But for me, it felt so long because when you're living the same life every day, and I was so obsessed with him because he was the first person that actually ever showed me any sort of attention. Just to get into some of the key highlights and key stories of when me and him were together, just for some juicy gossip, there was a time where, by the way, my mum hates him as well. My mum absolutely hated him, because you'll see why, because of all this stuff. I'm just going to try and pick some things from my brain of what I remember from me and him. There's a couple of different things. I had invited him and his friends over for this house party. It was really good. I was like upset most of the time because he was basically just slagging me off in front of people and kissing that girl behind my back, and then would come to me and say like nice things to me when other people weren't around, and you know. But then a couple of weeks after, so obviously I was doing this when my parents were going out. A couple of weeks after, because they go out on every Friday, like once a month, I invited him and a couple of the other boys back, and we were just like drinking, whatever. And he had got so paralytically drunk, I don't even know how. He'd passed out, he was being sick everywhere, didn't know what to do. I was really panicking, so I had to call his mum to come. She hated me as well. Oh well, look after your son better. And yeah, it was a big deal at the time. He had to have his stomach pumped. He went to the ambulance. The ambulance came, took him to hospital, all that stuff. But obviously, because of this happened, I had to tell my parents, and they came home early, and then I was grounded, and etc., etc. And then because of that, whenever they went out on that night, once a month, I then had to come with them because they didn't trust me that I wasn't going to invite people back to the house. So there was this night when I was out with him and the other boy and this other girl that he was talking to at the time. Always the way, 3 of us. Another girl was always the one that he was talking to. So done with me. And they were just like, don't go back. Just don't go back home. Because my mum was calling my phone off like, you got to come home now. You need to come back at this time because we need to know where you are. Because we don't trust that you're not going to go back to the house. And they said to me, they convinced me, turn your phone off. Okay, I get it, it's my own actions, but like peer pressure is a real thing, yeah? And bullying is a real thing. And then I ended up staying that whole weekend at this girl's house, and I heard her on the phone to her friends at times as well, by the way, talking crap about me and saying that all the things this boy had said to her. And I was just thinking, like, I should have known better. Like, how many times, time and time again, I could name countless amount of girls that the same things happened with, where he'd be trying to date them while he still got me in the picture. But yeah, I basically ran away from home for the whole weekend because of their influence, and because I thought it was the right thing to do. And yeah, the whole time, meanwhile, they weren't being nice to me, we weren't having a good time. I was miserable because they were just like bullying me and being nasty to me, basically. So that's fun. But yeah, it's just all the little things and all the little intricate details of like physical and mental pretty much abuse. I know it's hard to say that because they were only 16 as well, but you know, come on, do better. And then moving on from that, because that was very depressing. And also, like, it was 12 years ago now. I can't recall every single little detail of things that happened. But then moving on from that, so obviously that was when I was like 16. I did talk to him a bit after, because like after the whole running away thing, that was when I was just like the summer of when I'd left school and I was about to start college. So when we started college, because at the same college, I only saw him a couple of times. I would meet him like a couple of times after that, secretly, but nothing really major after that. That was like a big ending for me. At the time, I didn't think that it was a good thing that we were separate, but like now looking back, I know my mum was looking out for me because he was not a good person at all. Whenever your mum or dad do not like your love interest, that's a big sign. Or even like friends and family, it's a big sign. There's a difference between someone being overly picky and not liking anyone. If it's just one particular person they don't like, then maybe look around and assess if there actually is red flags with these people. Anyway, so That was when I was 16, going towards being 17. Then when I was 18, obviously in between I'd like spoke to people, whatever, but when I was 18, I obviously started going clubbing, and this is where my second relationship, or big sort of relationship, came in. So I was always out on like every Friday, every Saturday with my friends, and I can't fully remember, details are hazy, but there was like always the same guys on the door, like the security guards on the door all the time were the same. And I think I'd seen this guy like once or twice. We kind of like briefly spoke, and I remember somehow I got his number. And then there was this day, so he'd come up to me in the bar and like asked me to come with him, and then I'm not going to say anything else. But again, silly me, why did I give things away so easily? Why did I do that? Like when I look back, I think like why give your energy and your part of you to someone that you don't even really know fully. But at the time, again, I was still in that stage of like any interest towards me I was just so happy and grateful for, so I just gave it. And it started good because from that we developed a relationship. Like, he became my best friend, and like for me the first real adult kind of relationship that I had. Bear in mind though, I was 18 and he was 10 years older than me, so now when I look back I think crazy because I'm now his age and I would never date someone that's 18, like no. So it does make me wonder. I can look back now and realise he also had a lot of issues. This relationship was so like up and down all the time. Like any little thing would just like trigger him and he'd be like, no, we can't be together. See, the thing is, before me and him got together, I'd actually been dating or seeing one of his best friends, which is not good. No one wants that. But when you go back to it and look at it, I had done everything correct in the situation, because when I was talking to his best friend and we were sort of together, which by the way was a very, very brief thing, I told him this the first day that I met him. I told him, I've done this with your best friend, like, do you want to continue this? Like, just need to let you know. And it was all fine for like the first month or 2 months, whatever it was. And then all of a sudden it just came out of the blue note, like out of nowhere. It's like, oh, I've just been overthinking, and like because you've been with him, it's not going to work. People have been saying stuff to me, and it's like, who cares if people say stuff to you? You either like me enough to be in this relationship or you don't. And that's what I would say now. I would have probably, looking back now, if I was in that situation, I would just exit. I wouldn't even bother, because if you can't get over something that's already happened, like, what are we going to do about it? It's not going to work, is it? And I should have left because it kept coming up time and time again. And he kept like sort of making me feel guilty and feel bad for it. But at the end of the day, I'd done nothing wrong. Like, people are always going to be with other people before you, and it just happens to be your friend. All I can do about that situation is be honest about it and tell you straight away. And that's what I did before we even got into anything together. Literally in our first conversation, when I realised you two were friends because you were together, I told you. So yeah, so that was often used against me and brought against me. And then I think from there, when little things would happen, looking back now, I think he's just overreacting and he was trying to get out of the relationship. Because, like, for example, there was this one day when I'd walked past him, he was working, I didn't really want to bother him, and then I texted and said, oh, I just seen you, da-da-da-da, and then he went off at me for not coming in to say hello, and looking back, I probably should have just come in and said hello, like, fine, but it's not a big thing to go off about. Like, every single time he was upset about something, it was, we're going to break up. And that time I remember I had some major breakdown, like through my phone. I couldn't control my emotions because I was like, so obsessed with this guy. Like, I would do anything for him, and it felt like I was not doing anything right. Like, I can't even remember, but some things were just so ridiculous and so petty that he would be upset about. Yeah, it just made me think, is this even worth it? He was very jealous, very insecure, and I can recognise now he had a lot of issues. There was also this whole other red flag situation with it, where when me and him first started dating, he was dating some other girl, and he said it was all done when me and him started talking, but she was calling him all the time. He said she was stalking him, and she was constantly calling all of this. And I said, why can't you just block her? And he just gave me some story that he did, and then he should just call other numbers, etc., etc. Looking back now, probably he didn't actually want to block her. He still probably wanted a reason to talk to her, but yeah. And then I remember one night when we was in the place where he worked, this girl was here as well, and I wasn't doing anything. I was just going about my life, like just enjoying my drinks with my friends. And I remember I was outside in the smoking area, garden bit, and as I'd walked in, this girl went to attack me. So she literally launched at me, dug her nails into my hair, and she was ripping my hair. And obviously I was in the corner, I couldn't even move, I couldn't do anything, I couldn't use my arms. So I was just trying to kick her away from me. I couldn't use my arms to do anything, I was just trying to get away. Her fingers were so deep into my scalp that her acrylic nail fell off in my head. Or hair, shall I say, a bit dramatic with the head. But yeah, that's how hard she had her hands in my head, and I didn't do anything. I didn't look at her, I didn't talk to her, nothing. I had little glances because part of me is like jealous, but I wasn't giving evils, I wasn't being nasty, I wasn't doing anything. And the thing again, major red flag, which I should have realised, is when that situation happened, my ex went to her. It was one of his friends that he worked with on security that came to me. What was I doing? Why did I stay with this man that ran off to her first? Big red flags. But yeah, in the end, me and him did get a place together. And again, big red flags. When he was saying about living together, he sort of didn't really include me in it. I had kind of pushed the narrative of we're going to move in together on him. Probably shouldn't have done that. But yeah, and then when we moved in together is when our relationship kind of crumbled. A lot of people would say just don't rush into things. I think moving in together, like as long as you feel like you're ready, moving in together as soon as possible is great, because that's when you really find out if you are compatible with someone or not. I've had 2 different relationships where I've lived with the person, and to be fair, the last relationship I had where we lived together, it wasn't really the issue that we were living together that was the problem. Like, me and him could actually live together quite well. But you do realise a lot of different things about a person when you live with them, and you realise if this could be your life partner or not, because you may think you know a person, but until you live with them, you do not know them. Until you see them every single day, you do not know them, and you do not know how much of them you can tolerate, seriously. So yeah, that's that guy. We were only together for a year and a half. Had some great memories with him. He took me to Jamaica because that's where he's from. Like I said, we lived together. Gave me my first life experience outside of the house and what it was like to be in my own place. And it also gave me a lot of experience as to what not to put up with, because also I found out afterwards that, because it kind of ended because I thought he was cheating on me, and I'm pretty sure, like 99% sure he was. I did a bad thing. I went through his phone and I saw messages between him and his friends. Don't go looking for other girls or other people that they're dating on their phones. Go look through what they're saying to their friends, because that's actually toxic advice. Don't do that. I don't even bother looking at people's phones now, because if I feel the need to look at your phone, it means I don't trust you, which means we shouldn't even be in a relationship, because trust is the number one foundation of any relationship. So yeah, I ended that relationship. Basically, he ended it with me. We got back together. I moved in, and then I saw those texts, and then I was like, I'm out of here. I'm not going to put up with this. And I'm so happy for myself back then that I did have at least some level of self-worth. After putting up with this back and forth, we're breaking up, go through the same cycle of please, beg, don't break up with me, and then get back together, you know? So yeah, I'm really happy that I actually did go through that. And yeah, I feel like the whole time he was cheating and doing things behind my back, because he was always out with his friends and stuff like that. And now, like in the last few years when we've not been together, I've seen him out, and I know he's got a girlfriend and other people that he's dating. I've seen him flirting with other girls, all over other girls, even my best friends. He's got no shame. He would ask my best friend to sleep with him. It's like, really? Please, at least just go and move on to someone else, not my best friends. And you've got a whole relationship at home as well. So what you're really saying about yourself is not really looking too good for you. After him, so obviously I was like 19, come up to 20 when we broke up. I didn't date for a while. I went for like a couple of years where I didn't really date. I was like talking to people on and off, but basically I was just living my best life. And then having fun with friends, being a young girl as I should. And then in 2018, it was like a big year. I did date someone for a while, which was good, but they had their own problems that they needed to figure out at the time. But then this is when I met my last ex in 2018 as well. So this relationship was like one of my biggest relationships, one of my biggest lessons. It was a 5-year relationship. We were engaged. You probably heard me say this so many times. It's just like, come on, I know the details. But just for those of you that don't, we met like a couple years before we actually started dating, me and my last partner. We met on, I think it was actually Badoo, maybe Tinder, can't remember now, but we were talking for a while. We'd been friends, added me on Snapchat. There was a day when he picked me up to go somewhere, because I used to put things on my Snap, like, who can give me a lift here, like such a beggar girl. And he gave me a lift somewhere. It went like a long period of time, because that was in like the 2016 when we first added each other. It went a long period of time without talking, and then there was a day when my car broke down and I needed a lift to my work, and he gave me a lift. It was at the beginning of 2018, I believe, so I was still dating the other person, but he gave me a lift, and we were just talking about like our relationships. He was talking about what he'd gone through and all that stuff since we'd been like last talking, and we just had a nice chat on the drive. And and then like a couple months later, when I had some sort of issues in my relationship, like he popped up and was like asking things, and we were just talking about it, and he just gave me that general advice, and it was nice to have someone to talk to. And then I'd started doing night shifts as well, so he would like talk to me the whole time when I was on my break, and it was nice to have someone to talk to. So we were generally just friends at the beginning, and really like I could not see myself dating this guy. Like I thought he's not my usual physical type, like me and him just not compatible. I kind of had the ick a bit, so I was like, no, me and him are just never going to work. But then we started hanging out a bit more, we got a bit closer, and then I can't even tell you the exact moment when things switched. Just one day something clicked, and I thought, actually, me and this guy get along so well. I think it was because he said, I'm actually a psycho. It's because he said he was going to give up on like talking to me because I was a bit rude, and I was like, listen, like, it's not gonna work. I don't like you. We're not compatible. You're not funny. Bear in mind, we just like laughed our heads off like an hour prior or whatever, and I was forgetting that. And then he kind of just like took a step back and was like not wanting to talk to me anymore. And then that's when I stepped up and I was like, listen, maybe I was a bit harsh. And then it just kind of went from there, and our relationship sort of blossomed. Listen, this relationship for the most part was like very happy. Like, I was so happy for the most of the time. Like, he was my best friend, and even now sometimes I look back and I think like I'm not going to be sad over it because there were great memories and great times. But even now sometimes I do look back and I think like sometimes it's actually such a shame when you have such a great relationship with someone and then just like little things happen that mean you can't be together anymore. And like the point is, people grow and change, but like at different rates, and sometimes you're not compatible together. So like me and him, it's sorry to you if you're watching, but it's my life too, and I can divulge what I want to divulge. He might not want me to talk about, and he might think that I'm not giving certain points of view. But the point is, and I should have looked the whole time, but he was very obsessed with playing games and very obsessed with the computer, and at times it was quite frustrating because it's like, where's the time for me, and where is, well, not just for me, for us to be together, because my big love language is quality time, and that's what I love so much. And we always would have the same argument. This is the only thing we disagree on, is how much he's playing that PC. And over the years, I always thought to myself after, like, why did you not just see the red flags and leave? But guess what? It actually wasn't even a big problem at the beginning. Like, it was manageable because we still had the time together. But I don't know, in the last couple of years, it just seemed to worsen, and I don't know what happened. I feel like, although he doesn't admit it, there was some issues he had with himself, and he kind of did admit that he just closed himself off. And I would always encourage him, go out with your friends, do this, do that. And I feel like his friends felt that I was the one holding him back and making him not go out and do things, because it wasn't just me he wasn't going out with. He was not going out with friends and doing things with other people. He would literally go to work and play the PC, in my eyes. Of course he'd go out from time to time other times, but I mean, that's all he would do. And yeah, it just got really tedious and really tiring, because when you're in a relationship, you want to be with that person and be close to them. And I just felt like I'm on my own. I am actually on my own. Like, I'm living a single life. I would go to work, go to the gym, see my friends, hang out in the room on my own. From time to time, he would come up and we'd watch some TV shows together. We might do things as like to go out with his friends, but we wouldn't just do things just us two, really. So it felt like, why am I even in this relationship at this point? Like, it's not adding anything to my life. It just got to that point. And yeah, I feel like I was making changes and moving forward and wanted to do new things in my life, but he, to me, sorry, in my personal opinion, he was very stagnant, and I didn't like that. It's fine to be stagnant in some aspects, but I feel like there's always should be some sort of new development or change or something happening, or at least, I don't know, but it just didn't feel right. And what's so frustrating to me is that after this relationship, everything changed with him. Like, he was going to the gym, wanting to go on holidays, because that was a big thing. I wanted to go out and explore the world and see new places, and now he likes to do that stuff. And it's like, until I left, you didn't actually realise what you had and the changes that you needed to make. So he has said thank you, and like I said, he's so grateful for, you know, what I made him see. But at the same time, it's quite disappointing that me being there and asking for that stuff wasn't enough. I did actually learn some great things from this relationship. Before I met him, I relied so heavily on someone else. As you could see from my past two relationships, I just wanted the attention, the affection. I wanted it all, because I wasn't used to that, and I wanted it. And being with him and having to be on my own made me realise how great I am on my own, and how much like self-worth I do have and self-belief I should have, because I can do so many things and I actually don't need anyone else. It's just, like I said at the end, the point was, what do they add to your life? And yeah, it made me strong in a lot of ways like that. And it made me, his outlook on life was so different to mine, and it made me really appreciate life a bit more, like realise that there are good things in life and good times in life, and like reasons to basically enjoy life. So, and his family was very positive as well, and like they always had like a positive outlook on things and were very happy and loving, and I was like, that's what I want a nice, happy, loving family. And I realised it was positive, and yeah, to be honest, I just had some really great times with him and good memories, but yeah, at the end of the day, just not compatible, to be honest. And I really want to give some extra tea, but I don't want to get, I really are, actually, I'm going to say some stuff, but I'm going to try and be a bit choosy about what I'm saying, because I don't want to get him in trouble. Well, do you know what, I actually don't, right at this point, I don't care. But I actually did try and make it work with him after. I needed space. It was like, so we broke up in summer 23, and then the end of last year, whatever month it was, me and him were talking again, and I was thinking, you know, like, we're going to make it work. I just think we needed time. He'd progressed into a different person, and I feel like, personally, I was different. He thought I wasn't, but you know. I thought we just needed time apart because that's how he grew. And I thought, okay, fine. You've taken note of the things that I wanted and needed, so we can grow. So we went on a couple dates and we were talking and we were getting really close again for a while. But the thing is, when we first started talking, he was dating a girl and he was telling me this relationship wasn't working out. Also, I was dating someone, actually, I forgot to tell you, last year I was dating someone, a waste of time, to be honest. And again, I will go over him in a minute. But anyway, when I was talking to my ex last year, the end of this year, I'm getting confused, the end of 24 when we was talking and I thought we could really work things out, he was already seeing a girl, but he told me that it was not working out with her. She didn't want to see him, she didn't want to spend time with him, similar to the situation I was in with the other guy. And he said he was going to basically end things. So I was like, cool. And again, I should have seen the red flags, but I thought me and him have some sort of different connection. I thought we're soulmates. Like, we've been through 5 years of life together. We were so close to, like, literally cementing it, getting married, being together for life. And I thought that this is my person and he needs to do what he needs to do and then we'll be together. So yeah, we went on the dates, we were talking, and then he did end, before we even went on our dates, he did end it with that girl. But she just, like, kept popping up. She wasn't giving up. She was really upset, apparently, about losing him. Which is, like, fine, I guess she got her own reasons for being the way she was towards him, but didn't seem like she was that interested when they were together. But anyway, so she was, like, she was sending him love notes, talking to his friends and family, basically, like, begging for him back. And then he was just going on dates with me, saying how things felt good. He said some negative things about her as well, which made me think, okay, why would they be back together then? I don't need to worry about this. Like, he's not interested in her. But again, should have been a red flag for me because, like, if you're just talking crap about anyone, like, if you're with a guy and he's talking bad about another girl, it's assured he'll do that about you as well. I should have realised that. Silly me. But we live and we learn. And then, so we'd gone through this whole week where we hadn't seen each other after going on these, like, back-to-back dates, and we had a really good time. But we were just still texting every day. He'd call me every night on his way to work and on the way back from work, whatever. And then he came to my house and we was meant to be seeing each other for, like, 3 days in a row. And then he said to me that he's got some doubts, and the doubts was, like, silly little things like, oh, when we lived together you didn't get along with my dad. Are you sure you're going to be able to live with him again? I did say no pretty much, but then I said, you know what, for this relationship to work, I'll do anything, to be honest, because that's what you do when you're in love with someone. And he was, like, sort of okay with the answers that I gave. And then we just sort of, yeah, he tried to take things a bit further so we could be intimate. He said he should have bought me flowers, so he wanted to be a romantic. We booked a date for the next day where we was going to go together. Or was it like 2 days away? I don't know, whatever. In the next couple of days, we was going to go together. And we planned out the next couple of days we were going to spend together and things we we're going to do together. And then the next day he messages me and says, and by the way, that night he was saying that he should have, pretty sure he was saying it would have been good if he could have stayed over and he should stay over another time. Then he left, everything was all good. Then the next day he messages me and says he doesn't think things are going to work out. Very suspicious. Very, very suspicious. I had my suspicions, but listen to the story because I was correct on my suspicions. He says, you know, I gave the reasons why I was upset about it, because basically, like, he'd been leading me on just to drop me like that. And then he said, like, talk to me later if you want. I was like, yeah, I just need to gather my thoughts. I gathered my thoughts. I was all good. I came back to him that evening to talk, and he blocked me. The guy blocked me. In my head, I thought, I know why. I know why you've blocked me. So then I was just reeling, so angry about it. Like, how can you lead me on? How can you tell me all these things? Like, all the conversations we had, you know, I was absolutely furious. And I knew it was because he'd gone back to that girl. I knew it. Then I rang his number, had a little brainwave, rang his number just to check if he's blocked me on WhatsApp only. And he had blocked me on WhatsApp only. The number went through. I literally just ended the call straight away because I didn't want to talk to him. I just wanted to know if I was fully blocked or not. And then he rang me back and he went, what do you want? And I thought, are you joking? We've just spent the last however many weeks getting close again. And you've been saying all this stuff to me. And now you're just going to say, what do you want? Are you crazy? Are you actually mental in the head? You think that's okay to treat people like that? And then he said, I had to block you because of her. And I was like, yeah, I just said to him at that time, I said, I effing knew it. I actually knew it. I was so raging. I could not control myself. I was furious. I said, you are silly. That relationship is not going to work out. You've told me that you don't like being with her, doesn't feel the same with her, all this other stuff, this rubbish that he's told me about this girl, and you think it's going to work. Like, what? I said, you know what, actually, good luck to you. Karma's going to come and get you, because I said to him, does that girl know all the stuff you've been saying? And he paused and said, yeah. I said, yeah, bull crap. She doesn't know. And he was like, well, no, blah, blah, blah. Whatever. She doesn't know. I'm never shocked at the disrespect these days that people give. Okay, so I got cut off last time because I really was late for something, but let's just continue with what we're saying. I can't even explain to you how I felt. I was just so hurt at the fact of it was him. It wasn't about that he's not got anything that any other guy doesn't have. It was just, you really come to trust and care for someone, and want the best for them, and you expect that they will want the same back for you, but don't always expect that. My thoughts now are, from this, you literally can't trust anyone, no matter how close you are. You can say you trust them with your life. Don't trust them with your life. Do not trust anyone, because they will just turn around and, like, basically, if it suits them and it works better for them, they'll do what they want to do. And fair to him, hope he's happy with this girl, hope this girl's happy, but I don't think she's fully aware of the situation and what he was doing with me. And I think if she knew and the things he'd said to me and done with me, then she would be very upset with that. Even though they were not together at that time, I thought it was a cut-off and he's coming back to me. No. And that's why I went along with it, and I thought, our bond is sort of different. Like, it doesn't matter. Normally I'd be like, I don't want to be like a rebound sort of thing. But I thought our bond was different and things were different, but clearly not. I think he just wanted to prove to himself that he could get me back if he wanted to. I think he was very upset and bitter for my breakup from before, because he'd sort of mentioned things like, everyone's saying don't get back with you because of how you hurt me. But the point is, we both hurt each other. I hurt him by ending the relationship. But sorry, if someone's not happy in a relationship, what am I going to do? Carry it on and live a miserable life? No. And that miserable life would be miserable for both of us, not just me. So that was how I hurt him. He hurt me in various other ways, which he would never tell that side of the story of how I felt being alone every day, not feeling good enough, not feeling like I'm worthy, not feeling like someone cares about me or loves about me who's supposed to, not feeling like someone takes my feelings into account, feeling like a burden, feeling like I have to beg for someone to spend time with me, feeling, just not good about myself, and feeling like the relationship is just forced. And there were a lot of times when he was lazy and disrespectful, and just times when he would let me down and not do normal things that normal people do in a relationship. And it was, even now it's quite hurtful to think, because I don't know why I worry so much about my character and how I come across, but I really, really don't think that his family and his friends understand how he was towards me. And even now I can't put it into words, how dismissive he was. And I didn't actually expect to feel upset, but I'm upset about it now, because that relationship was supposed to be for life, and he let me down once during the relationship, and I sort of think people don't realise how much I was hurt, because I was the one leaving, but I was doing what was best for me. And then to give him another chance and for him to basically slap me in the face was hurtful. I actually can't believe that I didn't tell you about any of the dating that I had in 2024, any of the dating experiences I had in 2024, because they were the funniest, most interesting ones. So we're just going to quickly go through a little history of my date in 2024 and see what lessons we can learn from that. So first of all, we'll just start at the end of 23, because one of the guys I met at the end of the year came into 24 with me. So this one was so laughable as well. When I look back, I think, what was you doing? You should just cut this guy off. He just wasn't serious. So we met in a club at the end of 2023. Literally just bumped into each other when we were dancing. To be fair, I did have my eye on him. Like, I'm smart. I know what I'm doing. Oh my god, my nose is so red. It's just, by the way, it's frozen. I'm in an icebox right now. So we met in this club. I seen him from a mile away, so I kind of knew what I was doing when I was going near him. And then I don't know what happened. Cut a long story short, we ended up kissing that night. Then we were talking for like a couple of weeks, and this is where I think I'm so smart. And is it smart? I don't know. Maybe it was a bit deceiving, but I got what I wanted in the end. So we were just talking, and he said to me, what's your favourite place to go out to eat? And then I just thought of the most bougie place that I could think of. I've actually not been there before, but I wanted to go. And I told him, and he was like, never been there. Maybe we should try it together. I knew he was going to say that. So just, swindled my way into the place I want to go to. It's not that I couldn't afford to go on my own or anything like that. I totally could, but it's like, I didn't really have anyone to go with. No one really wanted to go. So I thought, why not just take me there? And he did, and I got myself in there. The first date was actually really good. We had a really good time. Drinks were flowing, open conversations, nice. But then what I quickly realised was, after the date, he's one of them guys, like, when you're with them, everything is so good, but when they're away, they hardly message you, and that's just one sign now that I know. Obviously, if he's not messaging you when he's away from you, he's not actually that interested. And there's a difference between, a few hours of replies, but you still got a good amount of replies in the day, rather than him replying literally once in a day. To me, I get the whole thing of people shouldn't be available 24/7, because we're in an age now, we've got our phones, and you shouldn't have access to someone 24/7. Fine, I understand that. But at the same time, like, if we're going to build some sort of relationship, I want to be in contact with you and talk to you and get to know you, because for me, I can't build up feelings if it's just like, oh, we're going on a date once every 2 weeks and then it's amazing and then we come away and we don't speak or spend time together. Like, it just doesn't make sense to me. And that's what it was. It went on from December when we had our first date to the end of February, beginning of March sort of time, being a bit sketchy about being in a relationship and like not really sure if he wants kids. And I thought, that's all well and good, but then again, that means we don't align, so why are we dating? And you know what? It's so confusing, this dating thing, because as well, at the same time, I just think, although he's not the right person, like, he was one of the people that I've had the most fun on dates with ever. So you should actually also enjoy time with the wrong ones, is what they say. Like, I was having fun, so I was thinking, fuck it, why not? But then the problem was, I was getting feelings, so it was a bit of an issue. But anyway, after him, I then quickly went into talking to another guy who we met on Tinder as well, because I was kind of on Tinder while I was dating this first guy, because I knew he wasn't serious and I knew that he wasn't into anything, so I was sort of on Tinder. I was about to delete my Tinder account because I was like, I'm just getting too wrapped up in this whole dating thing, and it's becoming like, it's just taking over my world too much, and I'm not focused on myself. I'm losing my self-worth. Then I started talking to this guy literally the day I was going to delete Tinder. He seemed like he was having some good conversation with me, and I thought, you know what, I kept the app, but I only literally went on it to talk to him, didn't match with anyone else. And then we went on we had our first phone conversation, I remember, on Valentine's Day. I was actually coming back from a date from someone else, which I'd been talking to. I was actually out in the wild. I was going on dates upon dates upon dates. It wasn't really good. These dates, I don't know what it is. Am I boring? But I thought they were so boring. Like, this guy I went on a date with on Valentine's Day, I'd only spoke to him very briefly, but I thought, what is the point in wasting time talking to each other over text for months? Because sometimes I meet someone and the vibe's just not there. Like, you can text someone in one way and be completely different in person, and obviously it's the in-person vibe that matters. As I say, after I've just complained about the last guy who didn't text. But like, if you don't get along face to face, then what is actually the point? So I just rather just meet someone. I don't care if we've only just matched. We've matched on Tinder. We can see we find each other physically attractive. Let's see if we vibe in person. So yeah, I met this guy and he was just so dead. People just talk about themselves, and it's quite frustrating to have to sit and listen to someone talk to themselves for ages. And I was inputting things about myself, but then he would just like talk over me about things that he'd done. And I can understand in a way, because I can be the same too, because I want to let you know that I'm relatable. I see where you're coming from, so I'll tell you my stories as well. But there's got to be a bit of a balance. Yeah, it's just a lot of me having to sit and listen to things. And he made me travel really far away on the train as well, which is fine. I don't mind travelling a bit, but like, can we just at least meet in the middle? It's a bit unfair. Anyway, the second guy I was talking to, we met like, I say, a week or two after we started talking in Feb. Yeah, just from there, we got along really well. The vibes were good. It was all going well. And then literally, we'd been dating, I'd say, we've been on like, I don't know, 3-4 dates, because we've been dating for like 3-4 weeks. And then I invited him back to my house, because I was like, well, you know, there's only so much we can do outside. It's cold. Don't want to be spending money all the time. Well, actually, he was spending on me, but you know. He came to my house that day and he said, like, basically he doesn't want to date anyone else. He's really into me. I was on the same vibe. I thought, like, we're clicking really well. We're talking really well. Communication's great. It seemed like we were interested in the same thing and the same future. We're on the same path. So I deleted Tinder that day. He deleted Tinder that day. That day, he asked me to be his girlfriend. And at the time, I was like, whoa, because we've been just dating for like a month and a bit, because it had been 3-4 weeks, and I thought, this is too soon. Like, I don't like rushing in like that quick. I feel like I do rush compared to other people, but not that quick. Like, for me, 3 months of dating, 2 months of dating, possibly if we have a really good connection, is good for me. I am trying to learn to slow down and get to know someone first, a bit longer. I am trying to learn that. But yeah, 4 weeks, you asked me to be a girlfriend. Like, I might as well just go outside and pick the first person that I see and say to them, can you be my boyfriend? Like, no, as much as I'd liked him and we got along so well, there was still so much to learn. I hadn't been to his house at that point. I didn't know anything about his family or anything like that. He told me brief little bits, but like, I hadn't seen it for myself, and I didn't know if I wanted that, and we hadn't been dating long enough for me to figure out if this is like actually what I wanted. So yeah, I said no. I said I still want to date you. I still want to get to know you, but right now to be your girlfriend is too soon. And as much as he says this didn't happen, he changed after that, and replies became less, and he told me that he was busy doing things like work and like the other commitments that he had. That's all well and good. I don't want to slate him, but like, his work was only like 3 days a week, I think, and there's 7 days in a week. So the rest of the week he did have other little things he was doing, but those things didn't take all day. So like, communication could have been so much better, is what I was thinking. And the reason that it irked me even more was because we've been dating for those 4 weeks and the communication was so great. It was like, even if he'd messaged just a little bit less on those times, I would have been okay. But the switch was dramatic. It was like proper good, to the bottom, you know what I mean? But I just thought, so you showing me that you can do that and then dropping it and taking it away has actually made it worse in a way. Like, I would have rather just started in the middle ground so that nothing would have changed, you know what I mean? So you've just shown me that you can do that, so then why has it changed? That's what made it 10 times worse. If you would have just come in with the whoever he was, then that would have been better. So yeah, as soon as I saw that change in him, again, I should have just walked away, because I knew for me that this isn't going to work. And there were certain other things again that came in, and this is why I didn't say yes to being his girlfriend straight away, because I knew that things would come in, or he would show me things that I didn't like. And I get it, no one can be perfect, but like, there's got to be a certain amount of ways that you align to be together. So I didn't like, I'll be so real, I'm not judging his career choices. Like, I don't mind whatever job someone has, absolutely fine. But he had certain goals, and I love and respect his mentality so much, because he said if it's not an option that it doesn't work out, that's great. But for me, I always have to have a backup plan, and I want to be a bit realistic at least. So if that didn't work, then the backup is nothing, which means you're going to be stuck at the job you're at now, which is absolutely fine. But in reality, would that job support the children which we're talking about having? No. Just little things like that. Also, yeah, we just saw each other less and less because he was too busy. And if you don't have time for me, big red flag, you don't like me as much as you think you do. You might say that you like me. You might say it's just difficult to meet me. But no, it's not the case. We live an hour away from each other. It's not like we're on the opposite side of the world. We will meet up if we can. So you don't like me. Let's just be real. And the more you show me that, the more I don't like you. So the more I become walls up. So yeah, that was that. If someone lets you down, what I've learned is it's on them. At the end of the day, they're going through issues. They don't know how to deal with things. But all of that stuff that happened last year made me realise that I was still relying on other people too much. Like, now I'm just so relaxed. I don't care. Like I think I said before, I don't care about being in a relationship. It's not the be-all and end-all of life. I'm good. I know what I'm doing. I know the purpose of my life. I know the things I enjoy doing. I know the people I enjoy spending time with and being around. And I know now, all of this time, all these people were showing me red flag, red flag, red flag. Now, as soon as you see that, it's time to exit, you know? Like, right now, the thing is, I love love. Sorry, I just love it. And no matter how much I say that I love myself and I don't want to be around other people, it's true. But it's always nice to have someone. So I am kind of talking to someone right now, but the thing is, it's so casual. I would be happy to move it on to relationship stages, but they are teaching me the lesson of slow it down, relax. We got time. Let's get to know each other more on a deeper level. So it's fine. We just go out and enjoy doing different things. I actually have so much fun with them, enjoy being around them, and we're just relaxed, taking it at a slow pace. There's no rush, and it's great because we can come together and do our thing together, and then they go away and do their thing separately. They've got their own separate hobbies and interests. Great, love that. And I've got mine, which I didn't have before because I was just so reliant on other people and being around them. I was bored. And so we can do our own thing and we can come back together. It's great. It's absolutely great. And there's no label on it. It might turn into a relationship. It might not. And if it doesn't, I said to them, like, I'm so happy to be your friend. And who knows what's going to happen in the future. But right now, it's just great. Okay. I was supposed to record another podcast episode today, but I can't because it's time for me to go. I have such a busy life recently, doing things all the time, and I don't really have time for myself. But you know what? That's fine because I'm living my best life, and yeah, I'm just rambling on now. But anyway, this episode was a whole shamooey mess. Big mess. I just sort of basically rambled the whole time about my life lessons. But my point overall is, sometimes in life, like I said, you have to date the wrong people to get to the right person. So me going through all of these things, learning all these things, each person has taught me something different. And yeah, now I'm so confident in what I want. And you know what, even in the future, I'm saying to myself, like, now, I think I know every single red flag. Someone's going to come through and show me something else, I'm pretty sure. Because no one's perfect in this life, and people all come with their problems and their baggage. And it's not about having the perfect person. It's about finding the person that you can sort of work with when things are not right, and someone that will be a bit lenient towards you, you know? Not lenient, they'll work with you, is what I'm trying to say. So yeah, and the more you focus on finding that person, the harder it's going to be because you're going to put so much pressure on it. Just relax, enjoy your life, do your thing, and the person that you're meant to be with will just come to you. They'll just come unexpectedly. My brain's kind of frozen now because I am frozen. Like, my hands are red raw. I think it's -1 today. Better than yesterday, it was -3. I did not leave the house. But yeah, thank you for listening to this episode of the pod, and hopefully you've learned which red flags to look out for in the mess of my dating experience. Yeah, I'll see you in next week's episode. Hopefully I'll talk less. Okay, see you then. Bye.